Yeah. If you are smaller and you want to come and sit at the front and join in with what we're going to be doing, that's fine. If you want to stay where you are, don't worry. I won't pick on you, but you can still participate. Anyone want to sit at the front? No, that's fine. Okay, don't worry. You won't miss out. So today, let me introduce myself. I'm Carol. I'm married to Chris and part of the leadership team here, if you didn't know who I am. So today we had the reading, didn't we, about someone who had his name changed. Now, first question out to you. Who was listening? Can anyone remember what the name was changed from and to? Oh, gosh, no one's going to put their hand up, are they? Tessa, thank you. Different story. But you're absolutely right, Tessa, because there's a lot of people in the Bible that have had their names changed, and Saul to Paul is absolutely one of them. Molly. Thank you. So it was very similar. It was Simon being changed into Peter. Now, why do people have their names changed? Anyone here change their name from what they were born with? Got a different name from what they were born with? Hands up. Yep. What, are you happy to tell us what your names were, what they've become? Oh, Chris, you might need to run around with a microphone. Go and get him fit. He stopped doing Couch to 5K, but we'll make up for it now.
Well, obviously with me, a lot of people here know. I am trans, male to female, female to male, wrong way round. So previously I was known as Kirsty Wormsley, and now also due to my marriage, I am known as Tyler Edwards.
Thank you very much, thank you. Anyone else here that, Dedo? We might have to wait for Chris to run round. Quick.
Please don't call me by that name. I was Elizabeth Joyce at birth. And,
Right, thank you.
And my father, we changed it to Dedo.
Thank you. Anyone else got a name change they'd like to share? Richard?
One of my names at birth was Barry, and my grandmother said to my parents, "You can't call him Barry because he was a black sheep of the family in the 18 whatever it was." So it was changed to David. It was my father.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to share? Carith?
Wixter Robbins.
Yes. Yeah, and I have to say, I had to change to be a Wix. I was a Reynolds. So, yeah, sorry, Dee.
Well, this is a technical one. My baptismal certificate says Alexis Desiree Laurette.
Before
but my
Alexis
parents,
was around.
Yeah, wrong way around. My parents have always called me Desiree. However, having submitted the birth certificate and the baptismal certificate to the passport office, my passport is Desiree Alexis Laurette.
But we all know you as Dee. We all know you as Dee. Anyone else? Name change they want to share? Okay. Sorry, what was that? Did you? Oh no, you were not done yet. There's loads more to do yet. So it could be because you got married. It could be, like Chris, that your name has been abbreviated. So Chris is actually Christopher. When he's naughty, he's definitely Christopher, particularly when his parents were alive. But to most people, he's known as Chris. So you may have an abbreviated name. And sometimes it might be that when you were at school or where you were in a workplace or you're in a club or something, there are a lot of people with the same name. I must admit, if you said the word Chris in this church, most people would stand up and say, yes, because there were a lot of Chris's. But a friend of ours, her name was Elsie. But actually, when she joined a drama group and in her office, there were a lot of other Elsies. And so she changed her name to Elsa. So sometimes we just do that. We change our name to be to help other people so that we're not all confused. Other times, people don't actually particularly like their names, do they? And they actually change their names either by deed poll or they just tell people it's a different name. So you may remember Chris's mum, Ethel. She was Ethel, But actually, when I got to know her and she was introduced to all of my family, she decided she didn't like Ethel. And she introduced herself at that time of her life as Eve. So all my family knew her as Eve, but everybody else knew her as Ethel, which, as you can imagine, at family gatherings and things could cause a bit of confusion. And so she decided that she would stop that and she'd go back to, when she moved here, she'd call herself back to being Ethel. So everyone here knows her as Ethel. In the middle bit there was Eve, and prior to that there was Ethel. So, pardon? Everyone was very confused, yeah. It doesn't take much to confuse us, does it? Or maybe you've got a nickname. Anyone got a nickname here that happy to share? Jamie? Wait for Chris.
Everyone calls me Black Mendy.
Black Mendy, okay.
I play playing goals with my mates.
Okay, okay. Mendy was goalkeeper at Chelsea.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm sure it's something to do with football.
But he's gone now, so you have to have, it's going to be Sanchez now?
Okay, anyone else got another nickname? Kim? Rue. Okay, any particular reason why Rue? Oh, yes. Ah, lovely, lovely. Ed, did I see your hand go up?
So I have many nicknames from my children, some of which are appropriate and some of which aren't.
Only the appropriate ones.
So I'm known as, depending on which child is calling for me, Ooge, Dunes, Goobon, or Fat Lad. Or Eggy.
Lovely, lovely. Anyone else want to share any nicknames? Jane?
Well, as a child, I was either known by the name of String Bean or Insect Number 2.
Oh, any particular reason?
Well, my name was Stringer, so kids just used to call me String Bean.
Okay.
And my father decided that he'd call his two daughters Insect 1 and Insect 2. So, and then we carried it on with Insect 2 Mark 2.
Okay, thank you. We've got Joseph, we've got Tessa here, and then we'll...
My uncles always call me J-Dog for some reason, I don't know why.
J-Dog, okay. And Tessa?
My brothers call me Akawu.
Akawu. Any reason why? No, we don't know why, okay. Well, I used to have a nickname as a child, and I used to be called Titch, because I was the youngest one in the family. And when my mum used to call me Titch, and this is really, really showing my age, I would reply to her, Quackers. Does anyone remember Titch and Quackers? No, oh dear, okay. But they used to be like a children's cartoon thing. They're called Titch and Quackers. Anyway. You don't remember it either, no, okay. It was, yeah, anyway. Okay, so we are all known, aren't we, by our names. And they're really important to us to identify who we are. And all of our names have a meaning, and they were chosen for us for a particular reason. Would anyone like to, I told you it's going to be interactive. Does anyone want to share why they were called their name? Matthew. Anyone? I'll wait for Chris.
After the Bible. So Matthew being Matthew, obviously, from the Bible. Andrew, obviously being Andrew. And Faith for having faith in God.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Matthew. Kim.
My dad had a crush on Kim Wilde.
I was going to come, I will be talking a little bit about that in a minute, yeah.
Have you gone off?
Right, okay. Oh, that's really hot. Anyone else want to share what their meaning of their name is, or why they were called a particular name? Carrie? Or you might have to let me run down to you.
Yeah, seeing as Tessa just got baptised, I can talk about her names. We wanted to incorporate all the females in the family. So Tessa, Marie, Lily, Meg. The Tessa is from Teresa, her great-grandmother on Chris's side. Marie is for all the family members with Mary in their name. Lily is a shortening of Elizabeth, apparently, but also Lillian, her great-grandmother. And Meg for the two Margarets in the family. So we managed to get everybody in 4 names.
Lovely, lovely, thank you. Yeah, so we all have got names and the reason. So I was called Carol because I was meant to be born on the 23rd of December, and my mum thought I was going to be a Christmas baby, so I'd be called Carol, and if I was a boy, I was going to be called Noel, or Noel. I think I was probably glad I was called Carol. Now, Chris will have to help me with this. Talking about a crush on Kim Wilde, we had a friend who named their child after a football player. Was it Liam Brady? Was it? Who was it?
Was an Arsenal supporter, and back in the day when Liam Brady was, when he named his child Liam Brady Piggott, and his wife didn't realise the significance of what he was doing when he asked for those names, and when she found out, it wasn't universally popular.
And as the people have said, sometimes we're called after different members of our family, or it might just be that your parents like the name. Now, we're not only known by our names, though, are we? We're also known by our characteristics and our qualities. We can be labelled, and being labelled can be helpful, but it can also not be helpful. What sort of labels, what sort of characteristics are people known by? Anyone like to give us positive, negative? What sort of qualities, what sort of labels we get? Joseph? Talk too much, yes, too talkative. Jill? Yeah, go on. Another talkative one, okay. Anyone else? Matthew, sorry. Oh, sorry, Chris, you have to go to Matthew.
Short and tall.
Short and tall, yeah. Did you say that at the same time, Ed? No.
Confident.
Confident, thank you. We want some positive ones. So short, tall, talkative, confident. Any more? Like sassy, yeah. Anything else that you might be known, or you might think of other people's qualities and say they're really kind, yes, kind, caring, maybe studious, conscientious, helpful, lots of lovely positive ones. Or, as we've said, perhaps sometimes people get labelled on the more negative side. Very talkative, a bit of a joker, a bit clumsy, stupid, lanky, shorty, loser. That's the sort of thing I hate hearing at football matches. Not that I go to many football matches, but you hear people saying horrible things that can really not be very helpful. Now, often these terms and labels that we give people can be given, particularly the negative ones, as a bit of a joke. But they can tend to stick. They're not meant to come off yet, but it's got my hair. That wasn't meant to happen. Anyway, there we go. Now, so they start to stick, and what can then happen is the person that had the label stuck to them starts becoming that label that's been stuck on them. So, not that I would presume Joseph or Jill were talkative, of course, but because they were perhaps classed as being talkative, they become that person because that's what people say. Oh, yes, she's a talkative one. He's a talkative one. Or that's a short one. They may not be short at all, but that's what they've been known as. And then that person might think, oh, yeah, I am short. I can't perhaps do something that a tall person needs to do because I'm a bit on the short side or tall side. And actually, it's very, very easy for us to become that label that people have put onto us. Now, in our reading today, we heard about Simon. Now, Simon's name means listen or be heard. Nothing wrong with that, really, is there? It also means flat-nosed. Now, whether Simon was a flat-nosed baby and his parents decided that they'd call him that, I don't know, because his dad was called Jonah. Not the main Jonah, but that was his name. But we don't know why he was actually called that. But along with his name Simon, he was also known by some of his characteristics. He was labelled a bit, wasn't he? And we've talked about Peter all through the summer. Anyone remember what sort of person Peter was? Simon was before he was called Peter. Impulsive, yeah, another word beginning with I, very similar to impulsive. Impetuous, that's right. So if you don't know what that word means, it's a very long word. It means saying things without really thinking, or doing something without really taking time to think about it. And that's what Simon was like. Everybody knew, oh, Simon, he's the one, he just does stuff without thinking, and he can be written off, really. Anyway, if you remember in our reading, Jesus was asking his disciples 2 questions, wasn't he? The first one, he said, was, who do people say I am? And the disciples answered the right question, didn't they? And the second question Jesus asked, he said, who do you say I am? And before the other disciples could even get a word in edgeways, Simon says, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. Wow! I don't think Jesus was expecting that, because Jesus then goes on to say, blessed are you, Simon, because no one taught you that. God must have given you that knowledge. And at that point, I think Jesus realised that God's got his hand really on Simon, that there was more to Simon than perhaps he originally thought. And he realised that God had more to do in his life. He was going to use Simon mightily to start the church. What a responsibility. And even though God knew at times Simon would fail and would make mistakes, he'd perhaps go in the wrong directions, he'd still be used to build and start the church. Now, Simon's name was changed to Peter. And Peter means solid rock. And that was why Jesus changed Simon's name to Peter. Peter, from the flat-nosed one to the solid rock. The old name and the labels were removed, which I was meant to try and take these off here, and a new name was given to him, for him to walk in the promise that Jesus had given him. Now, just as God saw Simon Peter's potential, when perhaps others only saw failure and someone that could be written off, God sees all of ours, yours, mine, potential. He knows you, he knows me, he knows us, and he wants us to become the person that we were created for. God sees us on the inside, whereas man only sees what's on the outside. When we come to know God, we're given a new name, and we're called children of God, a child of God. No longer defined, I haven't got another one, I meant to get another sticker on there. No longer defined by the names or the labels that have been stuck all on us or attached to us or given to us by ourselves or by others. But the name that we're given is child of God, truly loved, truly valued, truly believed in, accepted, and knowing that God will lead and take us into being the person that God created us to be. And baptism, what Tess and Charlie have just done, is an outward sign of just showing that they believe and trust in God and that they've become children of God. But we can all believe and trust in God. Don't have to be baptised, it's just an outward sign of our belief and trust in God as well. Now, you might feel young, you might feel old, you might feel insignificant, misunderstood, unseen, but God knows you. And if we trust in him, we will become all that God has in store for us. We don't need to be perfect to be used by God. So let's just pray. Lord God, we just thank you that you know us all by name. You know our failings, you know our strengths. But Father, you love us and you want to lead us and take us to be the people, the person that you want us to be. And so, Father, we just surrender our lives to you now and ask that you would lead us and take us on that journey with you. Amen. And the words to the next song are really just about God coming and giving us a new name.